Take a look at a castle, any castle. Now, break down the key elements that make it a castle. Location, protection, garrison, flag. The only difference between this castle and all the rest is they were built to keep people out. This castle was built to keep people in.
Disregard of direct verbal orders resulting in the death of 8 American soldiers.
This movie deals with the concept of leadership.
You're a sergeant major.
I was.
Leadership is part of somebody's blood.
Welcome to the castle, sir. It's good to have you aboard.
It's about the way that people wield power and also the responsibility of power.
I've been hearing some pretty disturbing things about what goes on in here.
Until you spend some time in the yard with those animals, you have no idea what happens in there. 2 men who only know how to do one thing and cannot bend in any way.
I'm not fighting anyone or anything anymore.
Dad, you're a great man. You've done so much for this country.
It becomes finally a question of the character of leadership.
This entire movie is a powder keg. It's about a clash of 2 personalities. It's a man who is desperate to be a leader but can never be a leader. A man who doesn't want to lead anymore, but he must lead because it's the moral and right thing to do. And in the end, there has to be a war.
Gentlemen, I propose that we seize control of this facility.
DreamWorks presents Robert Redford, James Gandolfini, Mark Ruffalo, and Delroy Lindo. Inside the walls of the last castle.
This movie deals with 2 men. One of them is the warden of a military prison. He's a full-bird colonel. He's had a good career. He's played by James Gandolfini. His name is Colonel Winter.
He's a man that doesn't have a lot besides the army. The army is his whole life.
He's got plenty of medals. He's got the command. Doesn't mean that he's a leader. And he doesn't realize that until a real leader comes into the prison. And that guy comes in as a prisoner. He's a 3-star general. His name is Eugene Irwin, and he's played by Robert Redford.
Very interesting character, a military general who's in prison for violation of the code that he stands to represent. And because he knows he's wrong, he submits himself to the punishment of going in as a prisoner.
When Irwin comes in, he just wants to be left alone, but he can't help but lead. It's just who he is.
Afternoon, sir.
This thing that you're doing with your hand, you're grabbing your hair, what's that?
That was a salute.
So, no, I don't think so. The disciplines of the authority in the prison has been to degenerate the men to subhuman level in order to keep control of them.
Twice in the last year there have been accidents where men have been hit in the head and killed.
Colonel Winter thinks he's doing the right thing, and Irwin, Redford's character, sees it differently, so they just clash.
Don't put me in the hole! I can't
He tries to galvanize these guys for the purpose of what it's like to be a real soldier, and that's all he can do. He has to lead, and that's the only way he knows to lead. There's one thing they cannot do. They cannot take away from us who we are.
All these men are broken, you know, and he fixes them. He completes them, you know. He gives them dignity.
Eugene Irwin transforms a group of desperate men who have had their spirits stripped away from them, told they're no longer soldiers, and turns them into a lean, mean fighting machine again.
He's building a structure of loyalty. He's offering them self-respect. The general is building himself an army.
There's an incredible amount of tension beneath the kind of veneer of civility that the 2 characters have with one another.
All teams, this is a full sort alert.
The character Winter sees the worst in men.
Prisoners, fallen!
The character of Irwin sees the best.
Aguilar, I'm warning you.
You're better than this.
It is the clash between these 2 gigantic personalities.
2 opposing generals on opposite sides of the battlefield.
I'm taking control of your prison.
Like hell you are.
What interested me was it had the strength of a real strong character piece about leadership.
Now these men need you, and I need you. Now it's your choice. And don't tell me you're surviving here, Yates. You're hiding.
I'm playing a military leader. I have not had that experience in my life, although my family members have. And they've been through the whole journey of death and medals and so forth. And to find myself playing a character who is strictly committed, that's his whole life, that's all he's ever known, that's all he's ever wanted, kind of interesting.
Would that help anything if I came across rather than, wouldn't there be more?
I really believe that Bob Redford basically is Eugene Irwin. He's a guy who is a legend in his own time. a guy who has led a life that is full of leadership and full of accomplishment, a guy who people will follow just because they have complete faith in his ability to succeed.
Mostly what attracted me to the film was working with Robert Redford. He's a very normal, down-to-earth man, very smart. He puts you at ease right away, and it was wonderful to work with him. I was very honored, actually.
Jim Gandolfini is an intellectual, and so is Winter.
I understand your coming here must be a big adjustment for you. However, I do ask that you learn how things are done around here.
The Army is everything to him, and when that is challenged, it throws everything, his whole life, off balance.
I don't need to justify myself to you, do I?
I don't know. Do you?
He's different from the roles that I usually get because he's very internal. He keeps everything inside of himself.
Jim may be one of the smartest men that I have ever met. The level of intellect and the level of insight that comes from him is simply extraordinary.
He's a wonderful actor. He's giving. He's caring for other actors. He likes to do the work, and he does the work.
I must have misplaced it, your book.
I think you misplaced your mind, too. I like Jim. It's great. Jim could sit on his laurels with a successful television show, but he's determined to prove that he is what he is, which is a good actor.
You have 3 years left with us. Does 3 months sound better?
You're asking me to be your snitch, sir? I play Clifford Yates. He doesn't have any respect for the military. He has no respect for, his position in it.
Yates, 4 in favor.
Aguilar, 4 in favor.
Put me down for 10. Cut Bush down for 10.
Cut
You got Douglas down for 20.
For what? 4 again.
4!
He's a gambler. He's the bookie. And in a way, it just keeps him, it gives him a lot of power in the prison.
He was an officer, a West Point graduate, who is the only person that isn't sort of falling for the idealism and the leadership qualities that General Irwin brings.
Mark is a serious actor. He has range, he has craft, he takes nothing for granted, and he's always striving for the story and the script and his character to be challenged and tested and better.
He knows when to be very serious and when not to be, when you don't have to be. And that's important, I think.
Mark Ruffalo, who is totally, in line with the fact that, he wants to be involved in the action. He climbs the chain, to get to the helicopter.
At first, I was like, hell yeah, I'd love to do that. That sounds amazing, yeah, can I do it, please? I was begging them.
When we're spinning the thing at a high rate, he'll actually get centrifugal force and the wind and everything.
And then the other day, I saw that helicopter come into this space, and it makes this thing look like a sandbox. That thing is so huge, and the way it moves around in here, and I was just looking at it going, what? All of a sudden, I was like, what did I get myself into? If you can get a helicopter, you can try this at home.
I play General James Wheeler, who is a friend of Eugene Irwin. My function is to try to facilitate Irwin getting released from this facility.
If I hear about one more man dying under your command, you are through here. Do I make myself clear?
Delroy plays someone that I was involved in combat with and was a subordinate to me. He's now a general just like I am, but I helped him earn the stars that he has. So there's a familiarity because we were brothers under the flag, so to speak.
What are you doing here, Jim?
I'm here to see if you've lost your mind. What was interesting to me, specifically as I worked with Robert, had less to do with leadership and more to do with the fact that this is my friend and we have had a certain history together, and that's what I'm working with in order to try to get from him what I want.
I saw hundreds and hundreds of people, and for roles that normally would be filled by known actors, I had these unknown guys who were just brilliant.
After months of searching, the filmmakers assembled a unique and talented supporting cast. And just as each prisoner in the film represents a certain archetype, every actor has a story of his own.
My father's black, my mother's Mexican. I was raised in Palm Springs. Just kind of dealing with the whole black, white, brown thing. You got to do a lot of Latino parts and everything, and I just try to always just bring a little bit of something else into it, just to kind of, humanize everything.
Check his probation, see if he's allowed to leave the state.
Somebody hurt my sister, and so I've spent a few years in prison. The monotony of just the walls and entrapment. There's craft service here. There was never craft service in another prison. And I get to go home at night. You know what it is? It's actually a reminder of how grateful I am.
All the actors were very good, so there's a give and take that makes it enjoyable.
2 months ago, I was loading trucks. One job can change everything for you. I keep thinking that I'm going to wake up in my bed saying, was that a dream? No!
Enthusiasm in making the film is shared by Frank Military, an actor-screenwriter who hasn't been on screen in 10 years. Clifton Collins, who played the assassin in Traffic, has an important supporting role. This is the film debut for Steve Burton, a world-renowned soap star. And Paul Calderone, who is critically acclaimed for his stage and film performances, now stands at the right hand of Robert Redford. When director Rod Lurie cast the prisoners and guards, he made a conscious choice.
I wanted every single actor to regard this movie as the biggest break they've ever gotten in their lives, because I wanted them to be as thrilled with the notion of working with Bob Redford as those prisoners are thrilled with the notion that General Irwin is coming into the prison.
You know, everybody, you have like 300 guys there, talking, yelling, and laughing, and all of a sudden he walks on the set and everything just became like this huge, like hush.
I'm acting with Robert Redford. Hey now. It's a blast.
He's quite an activist and a leader in that way, and so I think it fits him perfectly.
And he's out there joking around with us, talking about the scene. I mean, he's very open to everything.
It's flattering to hear, but it's a hard thing for me to relate to or even adjust to. What I think about is the pleasure of working with good actors. These are all good actors, whether they've done a film or not, they're strong actors. I get very moved when I see an actor who just has a line or two, putting a whole lot of energy and belief into it. I mean, it's very, very moving to me. And you have that on this film. There isn't an actor out there who doesn't care and isn't totally committed to giving 150%.
It takes place in a kind of insulated, almost timeless environment, almost medieval in a sense, because it all takes place within a castle.
When we arrived here, there was the original structure, no form to it all. You couldn't sense that you were in a prison. We had to come in and manufacture our own fortress.
It was unbelievable. It was, 3 stories. I didn't even know it wasn't part of the prison until about a week and a half after I was doing it.
The prison was constructed and opened in 1898. James Earl Ray, who was convicted of the murder of Dr. Martin Luther King, he served time here for many years.
There was definitely a vibe to the place, especially if you were like walking around alone a little bit. You could feel it,
You're in a prison as an actor, not as a prisoner. But you're aware of what it would be like to be a prisoner. But you also know that you can go home at night.
The drama in it is about men giving themselves to some greater idea.
It's like, wow, we can do something about this. We are capable of fending for ourselves.
The guys build weapons, Molotov cocktails, and root launchers, which are basically big slingshots. The actors have to do a lot of their own stuff, and Redford is, he's done stunts all his life. I mean, he's very modest about it. You go in there and say, hey, Bob, we're gonna have you run through this fire, and he goes, oh, okay.
They don't want better food, they don't want more TV, they just want your resignation.
Well, then I better go back.
The strength of the through line of the piece is the contest between these two characters and a force of will. I thought that was good stuff.
It's about how the pride of 2 men can cause a great deal of chaos.
It is about dignity, and it is about what it means to be not just a man, but a soldier.
You have a clash of wills here who are in conflict with each other, but also over the hearts and minds of these men.
I believe that when General Irwin enters the prison and begins to teach the men, we regain a lot of honor and learn to be proud again.
It's about never giving up, never backing off, and not losing at any cost.
Prison!
Well, I start my day when the whistle blows, working for the men to pay the debt I owe. Well, I'm doing my time in the midday sun, doing that work seems to never get done.